All right, so this week we are discussing Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula, a 1992 film. This came out before we were born. This is based on Bram Stoker's... hold up, that's the first time I've ever said that. This is fucking stupid. That it came out before we were born. We've done so many movies that came out before we were born. Why would I mention it for this one and not any of the others? Okay.
Take two.
Okay, so this week we are discussing Bram Stoker's Dracula, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. This is based on, of course, Bram Stoker's novel Dracula from the 1800s. It stars so many people. Gary Oldman, we've got Winona Ryder, we've got Anthony Hopkins, Keanu Reaves with a very interesting accent that we will discuss. It got positive reviews. It is a visual masterpiece. It won 3 Academy Awards for costume design, sound editing, makeup, and it's just, I'm excited to, I'm all over the place. This is the intro. We're doing spooky season starting now. It was supposed to start last week, but we did The Creator last week, so here we are.
That was my fault.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome to spooky season. Zach, this is quite a film, and I'm very excited to talk about it. But we only ask one question here on the podcast, and that question is, but is Bram Stoker's Dracula? Try that again.
Or do we keep it? And this is still the intro. We're still doing it.
Hold on,
we're still doing the thing. I have
but
tears in my eyes.
Is Bram Stoker's Dracula good?
We're gonna find out today.
And cue the music.
But is it good podcast? Yeah. Hello.
Hey there. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the podcast. Of
We're
course,
off
we're doing
to-
Bram Stoker's
We're off to
Dracula.
a fast start here on But Is It Good podcast. I'm your host, Hunter Callahan. And Zach
I'm your
is
host.
drinking water.
You interrupted me. You literally interrupted me.
I'm sorry.
I was not. And I'm your host, Zach Olson. And we got a good one in today for you.
Oh, I just love that people won't get that joke anymore because it's been over a year, hasn't it?
The real ones will know because the real ones have seen that episode. Those 2 episodes.
They've seen it.
Yeah, because we're putting just like an audio file where it goes on YouTube, starting.
No, the audio's on there. Yeah,
okay,
you can find us on YouTube. Yeah, that's a throwback joke. If you know, you know. But we've got a good one in today. This was, first off, Zach, how are you? How's life?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm a little tired.
Yeah, I'm very tired. But I have to just one-up you in everything that I do, so that's why I'm tired.
Well, you did go to the air show.
Yeah, you can see it.
You can tell.
You'll see on Instagram. Look at this line, man. Ugh, brutal.
Mm-hmm.
I wore a bandeau headband, like a hair wrap, and I had my hair pulled back. And
because you wanted to, you wanted to embrace Bryce Harper.
I actually saw that after the air show, and I was like, ugh. And I realized about 2 or 3 o'clock, I was like, I didn't put on any sunscreen, so I've got a nice tan line. But I'm good. Hollis had a great time. I had a great Saturday for reasons that we'll discuss later. And then, I'm good. Well, part of my Saturday wasn't very good, which also we'll discuss later. Doesn't matter. We're doing Dracula. So,
okay.
Good friend of the pod, Ethan. Ethan requested to do Dracula, and he actually was going to be on the podcast this week, but he isn't in town, turns out, so we're going to have him back later this year. But we thought, heck, let's go ahead. We haven't really planned Spooky Month yet, so let's go ahead and keep Dracula on the docket. and we're doing it.
And here we are.
Here we are. Who would have thought? Look at us.
Not me.
Not me. Yeah. So I guess before we kick off, like, subscribe, all that stuff. You know the drill. Zach, do you want to? I'm handing the reins virtually over to you.
Okay. So, well, I mean, let's dive into the film here. So, Hunter,
Zach,
give me your first reactions of Bram Stoker's Dracula.
I will. Not what I expected.
Okay.
This movie, I'd never seen it. I feel I'd seen images from it without realizing what it was, I guess, for a long time. This movie is fascinating because it's a very interesting, I thought it was a very interesting take on the Dracula character, and visually it's super, super cool, and I love that it has such a vision. It took me a minute, I think, to kind of get into it, maybe because I just didn't know what it was going to be. But I think the practical effects and the style is so on purpose, and I love that about this movie. I think that it's super interesting. The performances are great. Everybody is super invested. Even Keanu Reeves, that we can talk about. Damn, it's horny, man. This is that I didn't expect that. There were some parts where I was like,
yeah,
wow, okay, that's not what I thought was going to happen.
Right.
But overall, I think, it's, this film made me, look, I'll say I'm not sure this is like my favorite movie ever, but this movie made me miss movies that even if you don't love them, you have to respect them.
Okay.
Because I was watching this and I was like, man, his fingerprints are all over it, and I love how.
That's true.
Like I said, I think I said earlier, I love how on purpose everything is. It's over the top. It's like Shakespearean, and I think it took me a second to kind of get in it, and I was like, okay, cool. I was confused by some aspects that I think eventually I worked them out that we can talk about. But overall, I really liked it when I got invested in it and when I got on board. I will say that it took me off guard.
Okay. Have you read Bram Stoker's Dracula?
I actually haven't, and this made me want to.
Yeah. I haven't either.
I think I heard that this is a more faithful adaptation than a lot of Hollywood Dracula stories.
Well, sure.
I could be wrong.
Like fucking Van Helsing and the
I love that movie.
Journey of the Demeter that came out like last month.
I haven't seen that, but I did see. I remember Dracula Untold or whatever. I saw that with Chase like 10 years ago or whatever it was.
Yeah. What I was gonna say is those films are like utilizing source material, but like really taking a lot of liberties with it. Where I feel like this is more faithful, just based on what I know about the novel. Like I said, I haven't read it. So this is my first time watching it. I think it was. Did you say it was your first time watching it as well?
Yes, yeah.
And right out of the gate, I was hooked. Like we get this opening montage of just like black silhouettes with the red sky in the background, and I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking right.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, otherwise I agree with pretty much everything you said, that this has Francis Coppola's fingerprints all over it. And in one way that there's two movies that I've watched this year that when I was done with them, I felt like, well, one, I thought, holy shit, that was something like special. And two, I felt like emotionally drained at the end.
Okay, I can get that. Yep. Okay.
And it was Heart of Darkness and Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Well, hold on. The film's called Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, sorry.
But did you watch the documentary? I think that's called Heart of Darkness, and that's the book that it's based on, right?
Right. It was. It's based on that book. Sorry, that's why. Why I misspoke.
Technically, you were correct.
No, I was not correct because that's not the name of the fucking movie, Hunter. If you're gonna call me out correctly. Learn how to
All
do
right.
it.
I'm sorry. Should I try again?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Back up. Say it again.
The two movies that have had an emotional impact on me,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt just like drained at the end of them, were Heart of Darkness and Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Hold on, you stupid moron. The
Oh,
film
no,
is
what'd I do?
the film is called Apocalypse Now. How dare you even have a podcast about films? You are
I'm a
fake-
fuckhead.
I'm a big fuckhead. You're a fake movie fan. You're
Oh,
you're just a
no.
film bro who thinks he knows things. I'm just kidding. Carry on. Was that better?
I don't know. Yeah,
that
that was
better?
better.
Okay.
That was a
Cool.
lot better.
I'm glad.
You
Thank
really,
you.
you can lean in even more if you want to.
All right,
but
I'll just-
that was good.
Okay, cool, good to know.
The performances were brilliant. Like, when I see, because of the other adaptations that are out there, right, and because of my unfamiliarity with the novel itself, I don't see Anthony Hopkins as Van Helsing, but now I do. Like,
Yes, I get that.
you know what I mean? I don't know. I just think it was really well done. I'm really excited to talk about it. There are some quirks and some little things, but yeah, like this is a
Yeah.
good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was funny is that when I remember I texted you before I would think either of us even watched it, and then we can get on to movie a minute, but I was like, Anthony Hopkins is Van Helsing?
Mm-hmm.
Because in my head, Van Helsing is Hugh Jackman, actually.
Sure. Yeah.
From that movie that came out when we were probably like young teens. And he's got the hat and the crossbow, and all this stuff. And Dracula is this crazy, which he is crazy monster in this one. But, and I guess in my head, Anthony Hopkins is he's like Morgan Freeman. He's like perpetually like 80 years old.
Right.
So I was like, wait a second. But I thought it was awesome when he actually showed up. Anyway.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so let's dive in. Zach, it's time for Movie in a Minute. Do you know what this is, or should I have to explain it to you in the version of a song?
Your vocal berating of me when I messed up the name of that movie earlier has caused me to have temporary amnesia. And so I've forgotten what Movie in a Minute is. So could you inform me and our listeners what this is?
Okay, well, Movie in a Minute is it's a world famous challenge, patent pending. Well, trademarked is approved, so you can't. It's our thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you have 60 seconds. Just you can't be like, oh, I'm gonna do it faster, Zach. You can't do that. Okay.
Right.
So get that thought out of your head. You don't get points for doing it in 45 seconds.
Shit, hold on. Let me get that thought out.
Okay.
It's gone. It's
Okay,
out.
good. You have to use all 60 seconds, but so help me God, Zach, if you use 61, I'll never speak to you again.
Oh, shit.
And you have to explain the entire film, every scene, in vivid detail. So every character, just every word of dialogue, like the sets, everything. And you have 1 minute.
Okay.
And the thing is that we've never failed. That's another really important thing. We've never failed. So if you're the first one to fail, I have this app on my phone that's just a countdown.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And if you fail, then it goes closer to 0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do,
I took that from you. That's
Am
get
I?
it? Do you see what I'm doing here?
From me?
Do you see what I'm doing? This is called a reference.
Keep in mind, I have amnesia right now.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
Am I allowed to know what the number's at right now?
No. That's for me to know. And that's it.
And me to hopefully never find out, right?
Yes. Because if you fail, you're fine. But are you ready?
I was born ready
Let's do this.
for this right here. Okay, this is Bram Stoker's Dracula.
No, hold on.
I mean, kind of fitting,
Hold on.
honestly. That was a Freudian slip because, good Lord, is this a horny film?
It is a horny film, unexpectedly horny film.
It was
But
really
actually,
funny.
in all seriousness, when I like see the words or like want to say them, it comes out. I think because Bram is such a weird name.
Yeah.
That like it's like long division. The R carries over to Stoker.
to Stroker.
And it just, I'm like, I have to consciously choose to say Stoker.
It's
Bram
funny because the first time I saw the name, I thought the exact same thing. And I was like, I need to get this right because I don't want to say Stroker on the podcast.
Because I feel like I want to say Bram Stoker.
Or
But
Bam Stroker.
No.
You just move the R over. You were just trying to make all the words have an R in them. So it's Bram
yeah,
Stoker's Dracula.
But when I say, that's what it is. There's an R. There's a second R in the first and third words. And
By
so
Francis Ford Coppola.
So like what it wants to come out as when I say Stoker is Bram Stoker. Bram Stoker's Dracula or something.
I don't know if that's better. Bram Stoker's Dracula. Bram Stoker's Dracula. I love it.
Okay, maybe a minute. Here we go. Focus,
Yeah,
focus.
I'm ready when you are.
I'm not doing anything. You have the timer.
Sure, but you were talking.
You
so.
stupid moron.
Oh, shit. I forgot again. What's movie in a minute? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, here we go. This is Bram Stoker's
I'm just kidding.
Dracula.
Zach, you're very smart.
Movie in a minute, beginning in 3, 2, 1, go. It's like the 1400s. Vlad Dracula has to kill the Turks on behalf of God. His wife, Elisabetta, kills herself because she thinks that he died in battle. So he comes back and renounces God and stabs the cross, and blood runs down, and he drinks the blood and becomes, I think, the first vampire. I don't know. We fast forward 400 fucking years. We've got Harker, who is working at a law firm. He goes to Dracula's estate to sell some property for business. His girlfriend, fiance, looks just like Dracula's wife who was killed. So anyways, all this crazy shit happens. Dracula's plan is to come to London to steal his wife because she looks like his ex. And Lucy's horny, and she turns into like a seductress vampiress. She gets killed. Van Helsing comes and fucks shit up, and then finally, true love frees Dracula at the end, and then they cut his head off. And that's the film.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I was gonna ask you something, but I forgot what it was. I thought about it.
Okay.
You said something during the movie minute, and I can't remember what it was. Dang.
You want me to go through it again?
Yeah, let's do it one more time.
Okay, so Vlad Dracula.
I'm just kidding.
Killing the Turks. That opening sequence was badass.
I loved his armor. It was like muscles. It looked like muscle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it looked super cool. What's interesting is the real Dracula is inspired by Vlad the Impaler.
Well,
in real life.
It's one of the inspirations, but yes.
Whatever. And we see that's brought into this film.
Because he's impaling people.
Because he's impaling people, and his name is Vlad.
On behalf of the line of Dracul, or the dragon, the blood of the dragon,
blood
right?
of the dragon,
yeah.
What's interesting is that he is this is Lucifer. His fall from grace, if you will, is like Lucifer. He's a warrior for God. He fights for God, and then renounces God, and becomes essentially a god of himself in one sense. But he's has the power of the darkness and death and the undead. I thought that was
the
really
difference
interesting.
being, I don't think with Lucifer there was a bleeding cross that he licked. Was there?
No, he didn't drink the. That's fascinating that he drinks the quote unquote he drinks the living blood, right?
Mm-hmm.
Blood of Jesus, blood of the cross,
Right.
And so now I think what's he say? He's like this. He says this blood is life. So that's what has to sustain him or something like that. Yeah, that's interesting. I never thought about that.
Oh, this might be what spurred something. I said I think the first vampire. Was Dracula the first vampire
that we know of? But
okay.
Well, hold on a second. So I know we're already skipping around, but whatever. Van Helsing talks about he has heard of vampires, but it's been 400 years. So I wonder if he's just heard legends of Dracula.
Yeah, maybe.
You know what I mean?
But then so this is not from the source material, but in other tales of vampires, you hear that they could be thousands of years old,
Yeah.
right? So maybe that'd be older than Dracula, because Dracula would only be like, today he'd be like 640.
Do you think he was doing something like some forbidden ritual that he knew what was going to happen?
Dracula?
Or was it like a reaction? He just was like renouncing the
I
god
think
that
he
fought
was.
for?
He definitely was just renouncing. That's why. Like I thought that his like just like Lucifer like freaks out and like renounces and then like has this like drastic transformation, that it was the exact same thing, and that Dracula was like the first, but maybe not. So we won't like focus on that.
Yeah, I think he was. I like that. I kind of like that. He just was doing it. But it's interesting. So I was watching this thing, and this is one of those films that like essentially humanizes the monster, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of see him as this hero whose real only motivation is the love of his wife.
Right.
And I think that's really interesting because when we see him later, that's still kind of what he's after, but he's just a monster now who's got some sick drip, man.
He does have some sick drip. I do want to ask you,
Please do.
I was texting you about this. By the way, there's other stories about vampires that came out like way before Dracula. So like, but maybe in this universe he's the first vampire. Like maybe in like this story, blah 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 blah. Anyways, he has the power to change his appearance and look pretty fucking dapper. Look like a young Johnny Depp or something, and yet
he actually was the one that so I think he was in the running for a while. Sorry, I cut you off.
Was he really?
Yeah.
It's because of that look with the
Gary
little glasses and the hat.
He was pretty unknown. I think he was pretty unknown at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
He can look like that, but he chooses to look like Palpatine's scrotum when he's like chilling at home. Now I know that like when you're at home, you do look like Palpatine's scrotum.
I do.
But,
yes.
But if you had the power to just like look better, just by like snapping your fingers, wouldn't you?
So, I don't know. That's curious. I wonder.
Or do you think he has to look gross to like recharge?
Well, he has to like rest on his homeland, but he's there.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm not sure what the thought behind that is. I really liked that look though. I did, because I was like, "Oh, this is weird." Because we always think of the high collar cape and the widow's peak and the like tuxedo type suit, and he's the slick black hair.
Mm-hmm.
And I like this like outlandish, like super funky, but also looks like royalty in kind of a weird way.
It's like he's from Transylvania, and he's also like 400 years old.
Yeah, and he's a count. I don't know what that means. What is a count? I'm going to Google that.
That means he has a chocolate cereal, and he can count.
Count Chocula? What is a count? Like Dracula. Let's find out what this means. I guess it's royalty. What is a count in royalty? A count is a title of nobility that varies slightly in meaning depending on which country you're from. However, when referring to a count, you're likely speaking about someone who falls in the middle of a social hierarchy, not quite at the level of a king or queen, but far more impressive than the rest of us commoners.
It's like a prince, which he says, I am
he
a
does
prince.
say he is a prince. So I guess in like the house of Dracula, that's his royalty, that's his lineage, which he talks about later.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Can I say
yeah.
that I'm actually reading, I was taking some notes while I was watching because it was clear that there was a lot going on and I just didn't want to miss anything. When Elizabeta, which is also throwing me off because Elizabeth, and then you have Elizabeth in Pirates of the Caribbean. Anyways.
What?
I don't know. Because I'm thinking about Johnny Depp
Oh, okay.
and Elizabeth.
I see. That makes sense.
So when she flings herself into the river, I thought it was going to be like a 100-foot drop, and it was like 1,000 feet. It threw me off so much. I was like, "What the fuck?" Like good Lord.
What? Because her body was perfectly intact and like fine.
Yeah. Yes. Well,
Because that
and
would,
just
like,
the
you would,
height,
like,
because
explode.
when they were showing the castle, I guess it wasn't apparent how high up, like it was on its own little like thing, and then it just like straight drop. But when she like just the shot of her falling, I was like, good fucking Lord. Like she has a lot of time to think about what she just did, you know? Like, oh man.
Dude, I thought about that. That thought trips me out. I was talking to somebody. What was it? Oh no. It was like a Instagram reel or whatever where this girl was like cave diving, and it looked terrifying. There was no bungees, nothing, and just like you didn't. It panned down, and you thought you'd see like a pool of water, and it just was more cave.
Yeah.
And this guy like did like a funny reaction to it, and he was like that. He was like, you better just sit back and enjoy that ride because it's the last thing you're ever gonna see because like you've got
I mean,
a ways to go. I want to talk about though because that's when we kind of start seeing. Is that Athena drinking?
Yeah. She's drinking some water. Can you hear her?
I can hear her. She's thirsty. Goodness gracious.
She's a thirsty girl. So honestly, it's weird. She'll drink like 3 times over the course of a day, but when she goes to drink, she's still. Oh, she just finished. Hey, baby, we're talking
it's
about
like
you.
it's like she's never had water in her life.
Ever, and it goes everywhere.
That's hilarious.
Oh goodness.
No, I was gonna say that's one of the like you start kind of seeing. I want to talk about the practical effects because you see her falling, and there's so many like overlay shots and stuff where they like blended the film, like the eyes when Harker's going to Pennsylvania, and that's when I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like this is like
for sure.
This feels like I don't know. I was watching a video on. It was actually Scorsese, so it wasn't Coppola, and this film, but where like you just listen to some directors, and it's like a Chris Nolan thing where it's like, no, we're gonna do this in camera because that's what making a movie is to them. And watching this, I was like, this is awesome. Like I think I saw that the little circles of fire is the only digital shot in the entire movie.
Yeah. What were the little circles of fire? Like the blue fire when he's coming in, and then later on, when Nina is like there's like blue fire coming out of her. Like, do you know what that was?
I have no idea. We can transition because I'll talk. We can talk about the effects as we go. But what is his power set? I don't understand him completely.
Dracula?
Yeah, because the part that threw me. And I think it's because I saw Van Helsing, the movie with Hugh Jackman, before I saw this when I was like 15.
Okay.
Is because I always, spoilers for Van Helsing from 2005 or whatever it was, in that movie, Van Helsing becomes a werewolf to fight Dracula.
Yeah.
It's classic, isn't it? Classic movie.
Yeah.
And there's a scene in this movie with a werewolf of sorts. Which we can talk about the scene if you want to. It was unexpected.
Oh yeah.
But I thought, hold on.
You know that was I think that was Dracula, right?
Yeah. Yes, it was. But when it happened, I was like, wait, who's the werewolf?
It was weird because he says you do like, not see me.
Do not see me or whatever.
Right, and his face like shimmered for a second, but it didn't look like Gary Oldman. It looked like Tom Waits. So I thought it was.
I thought it was somebody like Renfield. I was like, is Renfield like a werewolf?
Right. I thought it was Renfield too.
That was going to come into play of like, oh, that's who's going to have to defeat Dracula because that's like what happens. But it was, but it was because he turns into rats. He turns into a fart.
Yeah. So he can turn into farts. He can turn into rats. He can look sexy. He can look like a ball sack. He can look like normal Gary Oldman at some parts.
He can look like a giant man bat.
Yeah, a giant man bat. He can like persuade the mind and like seduce. So like what threw me off is that,
dude, hold on a second. Sorry. There's a stink bug that got into the house.
yeah.
And bro's just chilling. Like he's been everywhere. Sorry, he was like,
You think there's multiple?
no, I think it's the same one. He's just like hanging out. He was like on my shirt earlier this morning. I was like, bro, get off me. And I've seen him. He's just like on the desk now.
Why don't you like get a cup and like take him outside, be with his in his element?
I don't know. Anyway, carry on.
Okay, thank you for that.
Sorry, I just was like, he's still here. He's just like,
Still there.
you want to be on the podcast, man?
Yeah, let's get Stinky's opinion.
Stinky, what do you think about Palpatine scrotum? Anyway, what were you saying?
I don't know. I really don't.
His power set.
Oh, he can like seduce, and like, he can like remote view. So he's actually the eyes in the sky, right?
Yes, yeah, he can remote in.
He can hear things from like really far away, and he can hear people's thoughts if he has control over them. So like when he gets, I think the whole point of him like taking over Lucy and like doing what he did with her was so that he'd have eyes in that building, because that's where Mina was, right?
That was kind of my next question is he's in love with Mina and is after her, and then he seduces Lucy, which I thought was kind of interesting. He's like, why not just go after Mina? But it might have been a means to an end.
Well, if we can, do you want to just hop all over? Do you want me to answer that, or do you want to try to go?
I think
in
we've
order?
already been hopping all over. Let's just talk about it.
Okay, let's hop on over. So he seduces Lucy because he doesn't give a fuck about, like, if she becomes a vampire, he doesn't care if she's dead.
Yep.
With Mina, her name is Mina, right? I'm not just like throwing out the wrong name.
I'm pretty sure it's Mina. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Mina.
Well, something long and crazy, but she goes with Mina.
With Mina, there's this conflict, like at not the end, but like the final act of the film, when she's like, make me like you, I want to be like you, I want to see what you see, and he's like, no, I couldn't possibly do that, I love you, I don't want you to die. And she's like, free me from the idea of death or whatever. So he doesn't want to start the process of turning her into a vampire because he wants her to stay alive and like have a happy life, even though it's with a scrotum bat.
It'd be with Harker. By the way, did his
no,
hair
it wouldn't be with Harker.
gray?
He wanted Harker to just like die and like feed his
That's
vampire
true.
wives.
Did his hair turn gray?
Yeah, his hair was absolutely turning gray because his life force was being sucked out of him, I guess.
Oh, okay,
And the stress, maybe.
Okay.
But like when he escapes from Dracula's castle, his hair is already like graying, and then at the end it's like gray,
Yeah,
which is
that's
very
right.
weird with the age that Keanu was in the film.
Yeah, that's why I was like, that wasn't that gray before. Yeah, this is a fascinating portrayal of Dracula because like he is in like a conflicted state where everything that he's always done is just for his own, it's selfish. He's like, I don't care about her. She's a means to an end, Lucy.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole,
But keep in mind, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt,
You're
but
good.
keep in mind what Van Helsing says, where he says like, Lucy is a willing concubine. Like she fell for the seduction, essentially, right?
yeah. Like that scene where she like wanders into the woods in the red dress. She's not like captured. She's like, she goes,
Well, I think she was kind of seduced at that point.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that she was so horny, like, aided in the seduction, right?
You know what's funny is that I saw a thing on this where it's like, especially in that time, sexual liberation, like she was openly sexual and like, she's like courting like 3 dudes at the same time.
But she walked up to the first guy, the Texan, Quincy, and she was just like, "Let me touch it," like in front of everybody.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
what on earth?
Yeah, that's what I was like. What am I watching? What is this?
Yeah.
But she's turned into a monster, and it's funny because at the time, especially as a woman, that would have been like, I mean, frowned upon to the nth, degree. Even what Nina was looking at when she's about to get married, she was like, how vile, even though
Right.
she wanted to do that with Harker. And I find it fascinating that like Nina doesn't get any sort of redemption arc. I mean, not Nina, Lucy, but Dracula does. Like she's killed and died. Like she's killed and died. She's killed as a monster. She dies as a monster.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I thought that was just an interesting. It might have been a commentary on it. I thought that was fascinating.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up because, like I said, I haven't read the novel, but I don't think in the novel Mina delivers the like killing blow to Dracula, and
Okay.
I don't think there's this like golden ray of light that shines on him and all that, in the church and all that. I'm pretty sure it's just like the three men that were courting her were courting Lucy, and Van Helsing and Harker just like fucking kill him, just like stab him and cut his head off, and he's dead. So I think he dies as a monster too in the book. I could be wrong about that, but that's why I texted you. I was like, this feels like a cheesy ending.
Well, it's like super Shakespearean, like happy ending-esque kind of thing.
Well, but the thing is, like, even when Mina is on the way to becoming a vampire, so she's like drank of his blood and stuff, there are still points where she realizes what's happening and she's like, oh my God, this is disgusting,
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can do that, if this is like seduction and like mind manipulation, right? Like he is seducing her, and so his seduction of her like frees him. I don't know if you could call that love, right?
Yeah, well, I would say his love, the act of love, quote unquote, is him basically letting her kill him.
Okay, but I thought it was his or her love for him that like freed him. It's his act of love that freed him?
It's like, I think it's both, where it's like his act of love to die and not do this, and her, I guess maybe because it's her, and he's like, it's Shakespearean in the sense that he's like in the same spot that where he renounced God.
Sure. Yeah. No, I get that part. I just don't think that you could call it an act of love from her part because she was like mind controlled.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I guess you're right. Do you think it seemed like she was like actually the reincarnated Elizabeta? Which I get.
Well, she did have the memories, right?
Yeah, she had like some weird connection or whatever with them.
I don't know if that was like when he was like tapping into her mind, if he was just like putting that information in there, right? Like I don't know. It could go either way.
Well, it's funny because he like, I appreciated how like he tries to like, I guess, use his power to just get her, and she's kind of just like, screw off, dude. Like he has to like kind of get to know her again. It's just funny because
but even then, at one point, it's so odd because I thought it was going to be like a thing where like he has all these powers, but he's not going to use them for her because he respects her more than that, and he just wants to like court her normally, right? But then they're at the like the movie house, and he like grabs her and says, "Do not fear me," and like lays her down on like a bed of something, and is like about to bite her. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And then the wolf shows up, and he's like, "Let me speak."
Wolfian.
Yeah. And the wolf just comes and chills, and then he's like, "Come to the wolf," and she pets the wolf, and it just felt. Maybe it was supposed to show that he's conflicted about how to go about this.
Yeah, like
right?
It seemed like he's definitely self-aware enough to be like, this sucks. I'm alone. And like he's aware that he has a curse, that he's not like some immortal, like I'm all powerful. He's like, this is actually kind of awful. I think that's an interesting take on, immortality, in that he just, I don't know. It's just, I thought it was interesting. But briefly, I want to talk about Van Helsing. I thought he was just like the shit. He was awesome. I don't know what it was, just like this cocky little attitude, that was just like, yeah. He just like is excited to be like, oh, a vampire, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
he was extremely hype to be there and be fighting. Because it sounds like he's been tracking Dracula for the longest, right?
I would have liked
At
to
one
have seen
point-
more of that.
Well, we still got time with A-Hop.
That's true. Let's do a prequel. De-age him.
No, don't de-age him. Make it like he's in a battle with Dracula, and his life force has been sucked out, and he has to regain it or something.
Oh,
See?
okay.
Mm-hmm.
But no, yeah, there is a scene where he says something like, basically says like my mortal enemy, like the one I've chased for years, Dracula. I'm not sure where I was going. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was a great performance. What did you think genuinely of Keanu Reeves' accent?
I love Keanu. He was cracking me up the whole time. The accent was goofy, and it did receive some criticism when the movie came out.
As it should have.
And his little like head motions when he talks. Like I think the first thing I saw
That was
him
actually
in.
that was a pretty good impersonation, actually.
Yeah, well, that's how he talks. He's always moving his head. I think the first thing I saw him in was like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and I thought he was just doing those head movements because he's like a stoner, but he does them in in John Wick, they're a little more subtle, but he says if they come they will die, and he's just always moving his head, right? The accent was definitely interesting because it doesn't really line up with anyone else. And I know we're in two different regions, but like neither region, like it's just, yeah. What did you think?
I thought it was hilarious. I don't know. Once I kind of accepted it, it didn't like bother me. It didn't take me out of the movie.
Yeah.
But I would have loved if somebody was like, "Where are you from?" You know what I mean? Like, because you have to like when you're making the film, you have to be aware. You're like, this is not a good English accent.
Right.
So I would have loved if Coppola was just like threw in a line and being like, "Where did you say you were from?" And if he's like London, they'd be like, "I don't recognize that
Mm-hmm.
the dialect or something like that." That'd have been hilarious to me.
I thought, now it's clear to me that this was like a very faithful adaptation of the book, but I thought that Harker was going to be a vampire in this film for a couple reasons. So there were a lot of parallels between him and Dracula, right? So we get like Dracula is sent away from his love to do something on behalf of a group, blah, 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 blah. And Harker is sent away right before he's set to be married. And she's like, do you have to go? Blah, blah, blah. But when he gets to the like manor, like Dracula's manor, he doesn't go in until he's invited. And I'm like, that's a fucking vampire thing. They have to be invited in. He just like stands at the doorway until he's like, please come in.
And he even says like, "Come in and of your own will" or something like that. Something very explicit.
Right.
I thought
It was just interesting. But it's not true because he can see himself in mirrors and he doesn't turn into farts.
I got to tell you, as we can wrap up, I want to talk about the effects again. Dude, I love the shadows. That was super cool. Just like the like tiny little things that happened at the castle, I thought were brilliant.
Yeah. I thought that the shadow was actually going to like choke him or something. Not just like try.
He was going to react in some way.
Right. But yes, it was super cool. I agree.
Or like that scene where like he appears behind him, but we're looking at Harker through a mirror,
Mm-hmm.
and he like kind of appears. I thought that was super cool. And I there's that one scene, yes, where the shadow like chokes Harker, and you can kind of see that maybe that's what his true intentions are. But there's the first time it happens, the shadows, it's more subtle, and it's just kind of like delayed and kind of off of Dracula's movements. So it's super unsettling because you're not actually sure if it's supposed to be that way at first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just thought it was super cool. thought that was super, super cool. But I loved all the practical effects. I thought it was really, really. It felt like I was watching. Like there's some films now, like I'm thinking of Morbius right now, Vampire. There you go. It feels cold, it feels bland, it feels flat. You know what I mean?
Hold on.
Just hang with me, hang with me, hang with me, hang with me, hang with me. It's Morbid time. This movie, Dracula, could have been awful. And if it was made like this, I would have enjoyed it because the way I can explain it is it's made by somebody that I know loves making movies. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. I think Morbius is the worst example you could.
But I'm saying there's bad movies now.
He's not even a vampire, is he? He's just
I'm not saying
he's
the
got
story.
bat blood.
I'm not saying story.
Why did you choose that movie?
I'm saying like a movie that just has no emotion, has nothing behind it. I'm saying like somebody could hate this movie and I still think they'd be like, this movie was made with somebody who loves making movies. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's awesome.
That does make sense.
I think it's awesome. I love that about this movie. Because I wasn't like blown away by it. I thought it was really thought-provoking and emotional, but what really hammered home for me was the craftsmanship of it. I think that was my biggest takeaway for this movie.
The craftsmanship.
Yeah.
What did you think about there's one part, I guess it's just interesting how like anything associated with the church is supposed to like repel the vampires.
Mm-hmm.
You've got like the garlic and stuff, right? But like the cross. But at one point, Van Helsing takes like a communion wafer, just puts it on Winona Ryder's.
What that was. I didn't know what that was.
Yeah. That was like a little communion wafer, and it's like
it like sears into her skin.
Right. That kind of stuff's interesting to me.
That was interesting because there's a part too where he's like the big bat form, and Van Helsing puts a cross up and he like lights it on fire. Mm-hmm. So he faces it, which
well, and he says like, you think that's going to work against me? I who fought for God, blah 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 blah, and then lights it on fire. It's just interesting because like those not rituals, but like those practices change over time. Mm-hmm. I'm sure like the communion wafer that he put on his forehead 400 years later is different than the ones from back when Dracula was like part of the church or whatever. So it makes me wonder if Dracula walked into Southside and someone threw some like Welch's grape juice on him, if it would like burn. You see what I'm saying? Because it's associated with the church. I
get that. I see what you're saying. I don't know. That's fascinating. That is really funny.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because like, it's holy water is one thing, and that's like we're talking about like the exorcist and stuff now, like exorcisms, those kind of things associated with demons, but. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if it's literally just like a communion wafer,
right?
Where it's like those are just little crackers. Now,
yes, you get me now.
Would that affect a vampire? Also, why garlic?
I don't know.
I've never understood.
But I know I'm not a vampire because I love garlic.
I love garlic too. I'm a slut for peanut butter and garlic. Give me some garlic peanut butter.
Ew. That sounds so gross.
That sounds awful.
Hey Hunter, what you eating? A garlic peanut butter and jelly.
No jelly, just garlic peanut butter.
Garlic peanut butter on bread.
I'm gonna get a spoon. I'm gonna dip it in some peanut butter and just dip it into a jar of garlic. And
raw garlic, or would it be like sautéed or like roasted? Raw garlic and peanut butter. Mm.
I actually do I like roasted garlic, like sprinkled over something.
Yeah, I like roasted garlic.
Or sautéed.
Listen. Sometimes I'll eat, I've eaten raw garlic before. It's very strong.
Really? Yeah, it is very strong. Should make out with somebody after that, see how they feel.
Just the first person I see. Hey, Zach, how's it going?
How's my breath? Oh man. Okay, we've gone off the rails. You have anything else you want to touch on with this movie?
Um, we touched on all the touching, right?
Lots of touching. Oh yeah. Well, I was gonna say on that. I guess on the horniness of it, it is a inherently, I guess, seductive and sensual act, like the biting of a vampire. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like I get that. It's very intimate. I'm not sure we had to see Lucy having sex with a werewolf, though.
Yeah,
Um,
it was a bit
and
much.
there was one part where I was watching this upstairs and Hannah was like on her phone, and it was a scene where they figure out that she's been bitten, right? That she's like starting to change, and she's just moaning for like a solid 6 minutes straight.
Yeah, she's just laying in bed moaning, and
There's
then
a part.
with
Oh, there's a part
everyone
where
with everyone there, like was it Quincy, the cowboy, like
Mhm.
comes up to her and she's like, "Take me" or something like that,
Yeah.
like with the doctors in the room and like everything.
During that scene, Hannah was like on her phone just doing something, and I think she heard it for a while, but after a minute, she was like, "What is happening?" And I was like,
Yeah.
she got bit by a vampire or something. I don't know. This is
And now she's twice as horny as she was.
like I don't know the scene where like she drinks his blood, like she's like drinking the blood that's coming, like it's pouring from his chest.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like I get what he's going for there. Like I thought it was a little over the top, honestly, in my opinion, but because it can kind of take you out of it, where it's like this is a little much. But I get
Wait, what are you talking about?
well, like the scene where like I think it's when he's a fart, right? He comes in as the green smoke,
Yeah.
and then like appears in bed with her, and he bites her, and then he like cuts his chest open and like is bleeding, and she's like drinking his blood that's pouring
Yeah.
from his chest.
Right.
And it's I get what he's saying. It's a very personal, very intimate act, very sensual act. But it was a lot. I'll say I was like, this is a lot. There's a lot happening here.
Yeah.
And like even when he's like even the sounds he makes, I'm like, well, that's a intentional sound there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it got a lot to where it's like it could take you out of it for a minute because it's so much. But I do get what he's saying there. You know what I mean? That makes sense.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Anyway, is that all? Is there anything else?
I mean, there's a lot to talk about. Let's see. Why do you buy 10 houses?
See, that's the thing. I thought
Because he just hangs out at one with a bunch of dirt in it, right? Or did
don't
all
know.
the houses have a box of dirt in them?
maybe that's it. Maybe that was a way for him to like get to London.
Well, it's a way for him to get to London. Like, he needed somewhere to put dirt. But why did he have 10? Like, and Harker even says, like, why are you buying 10 properties all around the city? And then he says something about fate.
He says what?
Something about fate. He's like, do you believe in destiny, Mr.
Okay.
Harker? And then all of a sudden, the picture of Winona starts bleeding.
Oh, that's what it is. Maybe he was like he knew he'd find her eventually, and somehow knew it'd be in London. I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Shall we ask the question? I have to ask you.
The question, how did they get Tom Waits to just act like a madman and do nothing else?
Isn't he he's just a madman, though? Tom Waits is kind of a madman.
That's fair.
I like Tom Waits, though. I thought he was
Me
good as
too.
Renfield. I thought he was fascinating.
It's-
I wanted to know his story.
It's fascinating. So it's crazy how many movies, like, think about it. We had Renfield come out a couple months ago, right? Or
Yeah.
earlier this year, whatever. Then we had the Voyage of the Demeter. There's a vampire film coming out. There's just a lot that comes out of this. Anyways, I'm done. You can
Yeah.
ask me the question now.
But Zach, we've said a lot of things, but I want to ask you one question.
Mm-hmm.
But is Bram Stoker's Dracula
Yes.
good?
No, it's excellent. I think it's nominated for a Golden Good.
Oh
I
wow,
do.
golden oldie.
Yeah, golden oldie.
We
That's
got
right.
us a golden oldie. I will agree with that. I'm not sure I would put it for a golden oldie, but I would say it's very good.
Well, I'm putting it for one, and if one person nominates, it's nominated.
It's nominated.
So.
It's nominated. I get it. There you go. It's a golden oldie. But now it's time for Every Movie Sucks, and this should be fun. Let's see if we have. Here's one. This is. You know how I said I was a slut for peanut butter?
Mm-hmm.
This person's username is whore for rom-coms.
Okay.
The most terrifying part about this movie was Keanu Reeves' accent because Jesus Christ.
Martha Dump Truck says, feels like a parody, but isn't. I love how the name got you.
This is from Jesse Paterno. Please excuse my language on this because he has a lot of F-bombs. Not a lot. He has 3. What the fuck is this shit? Awful, horny, and awful and horny. What is Keanu's accent? Why is any choice in this movie made? What's up with Dracula and his testicle head?
Hey, listen.
Why is this so fucking horny? I'm so fucking tired, bro.
Tired because it's emotionally draining.
That's
funny. I agree on some levels. Emma Waters says, can't a girl suffer from anemia without being sexualized?
Well, yeah. Let me see here. I'm going to try. Here we go. I'll do this is my last one. Marianne, literally one of the worst movies I've ever seen and a total perversion of the book. If I could rate this negative stars, I would.
Bogus Journeyer says, gross. Love seeing Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder in the same movie, though. And Keanu Reeves in his fancy little outfit and bad accent is like the Italian hand emoji. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know that in this movie they got legally married or like religiously legally married?
Winona Ryder and Keanu Reeves?
Yeah.
Wasn't she married to Johnny Depp at the time?
I don't know if they're married, but the priest that did the scene with them was like an actual Romanian priest, and so like
they got married.
They got married. It's really funny, and they like joke about it and stuff now. Anyway, there you go, guys. That's Bram Stoker's Dracula. Ethan, thank you for the suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry you couldn't do this. It would have been fun, but we did it anyway, and we hope that our takes were good. Anyway, moving on. Zach, it's shindig time. Shindigs? Want some shindigs?
Yeah. What do you want me to do? Sing?
Yeah, give me a shindig song.
It's time for the shindigs. It's time for the shindigs. It's time for the shindigs, motherfucker.
Ooh,
yeah, we're doing shindigs. Yeah.
Perfect. You're still going over there, aren't you? So my shindig is the news. Zach's shindig is happening today. We'll see. We'll have to talk about it. We'll see.
My shindig is happening.
We'll see. I have the news. Let's do the news of the week. Netflix has released a trailer for a film starring Julie Roberts, Mahershala Ali, Mahala, Ethan Hawke, and Kevin Bacon. It's being produced by Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, and it's called Leave the World Behind. That's happening. Only Murders in the Building, which is a really good show, is returning for its 4th season. Todd Phillips has teased a new image from Joker 2. Pedro Pascal and Ethan Hawke's LGBTQ film A Strange Way of Life has been certified fresh. And The Exorcist Believer has been getting crap reviews at like 22%. They say it's awful. So we're not doing that movie because I don't want to see it. And it apparently is bad. And that's all I have. I didn't have a lot of news this week because I wasn't paying attention. Anyway, Zach. So what is is this Zach's Brave Minute or is this Zach's Georgia Tech Minute?
No, I can't believe you would even say that word, the B word, on this week because we do shindigs for things that deserve to be talked about. You know, the B people. The B people. I don't feel they gave a good effort in the game this weekend. And so we're going to talk about something else, unfortunately, until they get their shit figured out or until we get to the off season. So we are doing not the B people minute, but the Yellow Jacket people minute.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
So yesterday, Hunter, you texted me I was mad about the game, and I was like, "This sucks. Why is it this bad? I'm not doing movie in a minute." And you said,
You mean Brave Minute? You said Movie Minute.
Braves minute. Yeah. I'm not doing the Braves minute.
You stupid moron.
Oh shit. Yeah, let me have it.
What? That took a turn.
And you said maybe Georgia Tech will beat Miami, and I said there's no way in hell that's going to happen. Well, guess what? Georgia Tech beat Miami, not fully of their own volition. Like Miami made a really stupid blunder. They had little enough time, and Georgia Tech had no timeouts. 36 seconds. If they take a knee, the game is over. Like there's no question, right? It's over. For some reason, they decided to run the ball. Someone fumbled, and Georgia Tech got the ball. They put together, like, isn't it? So, as a Tech fan, let me just ask you, isn't it like that was super fucking exciting, like crazy, but isn't it disheartening when you see like 4 games of like nothing happening, and then they're able to put together a drive like that? And it's like, why can't we be consistent with this?
Well, that's the whole thing. So, for those of you who don't know, they have a new coach. They've been trash for the past 3 years, and Brent Key is trying to right the ship. And they've played really well at parts of games.
Okay.
And like Louisville, who just beat the doors off, well, not really bad, but they beat Notre Dame by 2 scores.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia Tech was beating Louisville by 15, and they ended up losing by 5. And that loss is looking better and better because Louisville is undefeated. They're going to be top 15 now. And in that game, they were driving in the fourth quarter, about to score and win, had a fumble, there's a big sack, whatever. Ole Miss, they were down by 8 with 1 score with 8 minutes left. Wheels fell off at the end. They beat South Carolina State, whatever. Beat Wake Forest, wasn't pretty. And then they got manhandled by Bowling Green. I was at that game.
It's a bad loss.
Just went completely backwards and just looked awful, every phase of the game. And so it was one of those things where it's like they've shown it, and the offense has been better, but the defense has been like absolute trash. And so, this game it was frustrating for the defense to all of a sudden show up and play their best game of the year. And the offense had 61 yards in the first half.
Yeah.
Couldn't do anything. And then they did just enough. And then inexplicably, in 26 seconds, they go 75 yards.
Did you notice on the touchdown catch, and I don't know why the fuck he would have done this, but he almost sat down like right before he got in the end zone.
Yeah, I think that's why they reviewed it. He like slid in, and they wanted to make sure that. And honestly, even that fumble, I don't think it was a fumble. I think he was down.
No, his elbow was in the turf.
But I was explaining to Hannah that because it was called a fumble on the field, and in every shot where you could see his elbow hit the ground, you couldn't see the ball, and then when you could see the ball come out, you couldn't see the elbow. But I think he was down, but because you couldn't actually see it, I was like, they have to It's a huge thing. He shouldn't have been in that situation in the first place. Should have just taken it.
Right. I don't know if...
I lost my mind, dude. I lost my mind last night.
I don't know if it's the same in football as it is in baseball, but in baseball, there's 3 things. When they review a call, there's 3 things that it could be. It could be overturned. It could be the call is confirmed, or it could be the call stands.
It was the call stands.
Right. So is it the same thing in football? Do they have call
Pretty
confirmed
much.
and call stands?
Yeah,
okay.
pretty much.
So that means that there just wasn't enough evidence to overturn. It doesn't mean that he fumbled.
It was like
which sucks.
It was like maybe he's not. Maybe it's a fumble, but we can't actually prove it.
Right.
It's like court. Like you can't. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can't do circumstantial. I don't know. It was wild, dude. I was up far too late. I got up at 5:30 this morning, and I was up past midnight watching that game, and I couldn't go to sleep because I was so wired.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a good day to be a Tech fan.
Yep, it's your bright spot for the week, and that's our Yellow Jacket Minute this week.
Zach, that was very Yellow Jacket of you.
It's the Yellow Jacketest thing I've done all week.
All right, time for whiskey shots.
Mm-hmm.
Whiskey shots. Do you have your whiskey? Or are you a poser? Okay, I got to pour mine real fast. So offended. Say this every week, but for those of you who don't know, I say we, it's just my cat, but it's just our cat. We had a cat named Whiskey who helped us start this podcast, and she passed away. I'm pouring a small one. She passed away last year. And Whiskey shots used to be just news about whiskey. And so now we do a shot of whiskey every week in honor of Whiskey. But Zach, I saw her brother Jack the other day. He's doing good. He's healthy as can be. What are you pouring over there? What is that? What is this? What have you got here? Some sort of concoction? For our listeners, what's happening here is I'm watching Zach go to his kitchen and pour this. Is that like a whiskey Mountain Dew shot?
This is whiskey.
What kind of whiskey is it?
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. So the past 6 weeks, every time I take a shot of whiskey, I feel like gross for about 15 minutes. I was like, let me mix it with something. Only thing I have is either water or Mountain Dew. So this is Fireball and Mountain Dew.
Well, you're probably just drinking Fireball. That's gross. Well, Zach, I appreciate you feeling like that.
Do you know why I'm
15
drinking
minutes.
Fireball?
Why?
Because I bought it when your twin brother came to town.
Oh, I see.
So here's...
That looks like urine. I'm just going to say it.
Hold up. If your pee is that yellow,
You're very dehydrated.
you need to go to the doctor.
All right, to whiskey.
A little brown in it. There's a little blood in there.
That's disgusting. And we always say, be kind to one another. So here's the whiskey.
Oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought. There's no Mountain Dew taste at all. It was just like a milder
Oh, okay.
Fireball.
Good for you. I'm glad for you, Zach.
Interesting.
Do you want me to tell them where they can find us, or are you going to do it?
Well, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Hunter, where can they find us?
Oh, you little sly little devil. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Bud is a Good Podcast. On X, which is Twitter. Oh, the stink bug's back. Hey, Bud. At BIIG Podcast. You can find us. You can email us at budisitgoodpodcast@gmail.com, BIIGpodcast@gmail.com, or just budisitgood@gmail.com. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we've even planned our spooky season. So if you have any suggestions, I'll do a poll on Instagram or like a little questionnaire. If you have movie suggestions for spooky season, we're doing Flower Moon later this month. We are doing that. But anything else, let us know. Yeah? You got anything else? You good, Zach?
I'm good.
Hopefully we have a better Braves Minute next week.
Hopefully. Or, listen, it could be the last Braves Minute next week.
It could. We'll see.
Just depends.
We'll depends. Okay, cool. Is that all?
Mm-hmm.
Peace. Peace out. Bye.
But is it good podcast? Yeah.